So when can we get our great profit? At 200 and we're making... You know what? It's just... Oh, right. Temple is too expensive to purchase. I forgot that. So, yeah, since I'm planning on putting a city here, there's fish right there. If I purchase the fish right away, I should be able to keep them from America. Boston's in a not that great position for me. How much do the... Well, it's not too expensive. I just need to worry because if I were to put a new city here, Boston might be able to spread its borders and cut me off from getting ships out of there. So I'd probably want to right away purchase some tiles so that I don't get trapped, but that could take a lot of money, which I don't relish the idea of. I wonder what the third city is going to be. Novi Sad, I remember when I looked it up, that was the second largest city in Serbia. So probably the next one will be the third largest city in Serbia, but I didn't look up what that was. Because Belgrade is the capital and it's also the largest city, because almost every country has its capital and the largest city are the same city. America is actually one of the few exceptions. Washington is a sprawling metropolis. Oh, now Greeks attacking Philadelphia. But New York is just so much bigger. As are Los Angeles and Chicago. But New York is also so much bigger than Los Angeles and Chicago. New York is just huge. Let's see, what other countries, Oh, Brazil. Their current capital is Brasilia, but their largest city is... Which one is it? I want to say Rio. I also kind of want to say Sao Paulo. I'm not sure exactly which city is their biggest, but it's one of their Atlantic coast cities. And Brasilia is way in the jungle. Kind of a centralization thing, I think, was the purpose of it. So they had a city in their center, and it's just nowhere near the old colonial cities on the Atlantic coast of the country. Australia is another one. Their biggest city is Sydney, which I've actually been to Sydney, and it is a beautiful city. But their capital is in Canberra. What about Canada? Capital is Ottawa, but I have no idea what their largest city is. I want to say Toronto? It might be Toronto, I'm not sure. If it is Toronto, then, no. Now we can get the National College. National College is very good. I want... How quickly can you get here? 5 turns. With the city built on the 6th. And... Oh crap, what was I talking about? Oh right. So if Toronto or Toronto... I remember they were talking about that in Argo. how Canadians never pronounce the last T in Toronto. So it's like they say Toronto. And I found that interesting because normally Americans and Canadians, when they speak, sound very similar to each other. Like, pretty close to exactly the same. There are subtle differences. I usually don't notice them. I suppose that whole Toronto thing is probably one of them. Because that stereotypical Canadian accent that they always put in the cartoons is just that. It's a stereotype. Of all the Canadians I've ever met, I've only ever met one who talked anything like that, and it was a very mild accent, not the outlandish, cartoonish ones that you always hear. Seriously, Canadians and Americans have almost the same accent. However, another thing that kind of puts Canadian and American speech apart is... What should I do with you? You can build. Another thing that puts American and Canadian speech apart is that the Canadian speech, while still very North American English in its nature, has got a lot of influence from Commonwealth English because, of course, it's in the British Commonwealth. Which makes sense because, from a legal standpoint, the head of state of Canada is still the English monarch, which right now is Queen Elizabeth II. Technically speaking, Canada and the United Kingdom, as well as Australia and New Zealand, are all in a personal union with the same monarch. Yeah. I know, it's kinda crazy. And when I say legally head of state, I mean... Constitutionally, they call the monarch head of state. Effectively, they don't really have very much real power. Oh, I'm tied for second in the busiest people, along with the Belgian Soviet Union. Oh wait, no, let's call it the Belgian Soviet Socialist Republic. Yes, I like that. Belgian Soviet Socialist Republic. Should probably make that the name of one of the episodes too. I feel I'm improving my techniques from the last play session. I'm talking a lot more. In the last one I had a lot of periods of just dead silence I needed to cut out. But now I'm doing a lot more talking and just leapfrogging from subject to subject whenever I get distracted by another thing to talk about. Suleiman built a terracotta army. Wow, what a fucking surprise. One of the most warlike civilizations in the game builds a wonder that gives them a bunch of free military units. Honestly, from their position, I'm actually legitimately worried about them. The Ottomans. Because I might be the first target. That is disconcerting, to say the least. Yeah. Belgrade's population 6. That's actually better than I can usually get to by around this time. London, let's see, the Belgian Soviet Socialist Republic. Belgian Soviet Socialist Republic. Seriously, why are they the Soviet Union?